Hello everyone. Today I'm coming from outer space, and in this video I will not be talking about a specific subject. I will just talk. And I want to inspire you to do that as well sometimes. Just talk and see where your mind leads you. I think this is an incredibly important skill to have, to be able to just talk and trust that something is going to come out, and more often than not, something interesting and something unique and maybe even poetic is going to come out. This is also the best warm-up exercise that you can do before you enter social situations. If you're not very warmed up, if you're not very inclined to talk to strangers after a long work day, then what I recommend you do is just you speak to yourself for 5 minutes. This is an exercise that I call a certainty rant. You just speak to yourself with a lot of conviction about whatever is in your mind. And the beautiful thing is that you are the expert on what is on your mind. No one else can challenge you on the fact that that's on your mind. So you can, and you might as well, just say whatever's on your mind with a lot of conviction. And I have made up my mind on a few things that I might want to mention, but right now they're not on top of my head, okay? I'm very much here present in this little camera hole and saying to myself, whatever comes up is okay. It's good enough to be shared. The first thing that comes up when I look at that camera hole is I remember how I started looking into camera holes. I didn't start off with YouTube. I didn't even start off with coaching or documentary filmmaking. In fact, how I started this whole thing was what I called slogging. It's not vlogging, but slogging, because at that time I had a girlfriend and her name started with S, and I wanted to just show her what my life was like, because we had a long distance relationship. I was living in the US, she was in Turkey. And every week, I think, I would just record a short video where I started just talking about whatever was in my mind and showing her a little bit of my environment in the US. And I would cut that video, spend some time, send it over, and it would make her happy because she would feel like, yeah, she knows what my life looks like. At some point, I started just sharing those videos a bit more widely and opening them up and actually starting a little vlog. I had a separate YouTube channel. You might still be able to find it. It's somewhere on the internet, Achil Rudolf. And on that YouTube channel, whenever I had an idea or just an interesting experience, I would just talk into the camera and publish that video. And I really didn't expect anyone to watch it, to be honest, but around 70 to 40, sometimes 100 people would actually watch that. It was mind-blowing to me. I was just speaking into the camera and 100 people were listening. Those 100 people were basically my closest friends. I had also started an email list with those closest friends where I started just sending out life updates. Every 2 months or so I just sent them a life update. My life was starting to get a bit complicated at the time. I was building all these different kinds of entrepreneurial projects. Most of them didn't really work, and I was just onto something new every 2 or 3 months, usually also asking my friends for support, asking them to take some survey or join some beta. And with that email list, at some point I just included that YouTube channel, and my friends were so happy to have a way to follow my life. They were so happy to have a way to stay in touch with me, and I didn't have to do much to stay in touch with 100 people in a way where they really knew what was going on in my life. That was an eye-opening moment for me. And if I could do that with 100 people, I thought, well, then in some way it is possible to do that with hundreds and thousands of people as well. And I got proof of that when I discovered Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat was the first YouTuber that inspired me to take this YouTube thing to the next level. And he had built some kind of personal relationship with hundreds of thousands of people, and I would get up every morning for 2 months looking forward to see what happened in Casey Neistat's life. He was my friend. He was hundreds of thousands of people's friends. This was like 10 years ago. It took a long time for me to get to this point where I actually can say that I've built an audience online. And don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun, but it's also an extreme hustle. It's extremely difficult to figure out how to get from 100 subscribers to 1,000 on YouTube, and how to get from 5,000 on Instagram to 50,000. And I think for me the key was to allow myself to just talk, to give myself some space where I could just talk. And then in the beginning, by accident, I found little snippets from the speeches that I held that actually felt like they were really powerful. And I posted them on Instagram 100 times. And I think the 60th or the 70th time I got a speech that somehow triggered something in people, and I posted it on TikTok, and on TikTok it went viral. And hundreds of thousands of people said they thought the same thing. They had the same feeling. And they were so happy that I was able to articulate it for them. And then I realized that I had a lot of thoughts in my mind that were worth sharing, but I never really gave myself space to talk about them. Because who are you going to talk about those very serious, dark corners of your mind? Who are you going to talk about your most crippling insecurities, your daunting fears? I never had a person in my life that I could talk to the way that I can now talk to you. It's also an ego thing. Who's going to sit in front of me as a clueless 20-something-year-old listening to my lecture about what I've learned from life? On YouTube, you can just do that. And you can just act like me as if I was God coming from the skies, talking with all this conviction about something that's going on in my mind, as if it was of any relevance to you. But the beautiful thing is that when you allow yourself to do that, just explore with language, with words, what's going on in your mind. You're going to stumble on some interesting stuff. You're going to uncover some dark corners, and when you articulate what's going on in those corners well, then you will find people who have the same dark corners. You will find people who have those same dark corners but also never really had an opportunity to explore them. And they'll be so grateful for you opening up those doors. Your words are going to unlock those dark corners in their own minds, and they will start to be able to make sense of what's going on in those dark corners. I strongly believe that a lot of progress will be made in the next few years from mind explorers, from people who are just exploring corners of the mind and certain areas of life by thinking about them very deeply. And it's so beautiful that explorers of mind can now make good money, because the internet enables us to just explore in public. This video is an example of me exploring an idea in public. And you're going to find a topic in your life that has kept you thinking, that you always kind of return to. There are always going to be themes in a life. For me, that big theme was the clash of cultures. The clash of the Eastern and the Western culture was the big defining theme of my youth, because I'm half Indian and half German. And as long as I can remember, those two cultures clashed in front of me often quite violently. And I was growing up more in the West, but also more with Indian values. And a lot of conflicts were created because of that. And I knew what I had to say to trip off some bombs in my family. I knew what to say to upset my mother, and I knew what to say to upset my father. I knew what to say to upset both of them, and I avoided saying those things. In the beginning I still said them, sometimes just because I had fun freaking them out a little bit and making them go crazy. But then I stopped saying those things. I stopped voicing my criticism of Indian culture. I stopped voicing my criticism of Western culture. And I just swallowed that part and said, I don't want conflict. But as I matured as a content creator, I realized that those were exactly the things that got my audience most worked up. Because those were actually true observations. Those conflicts really existed, and a lot of other people were not willing to face those conflicts. And at that point I decided to look for those conflicts. I decided to always say those things that I knew would upset parts of my family. And so the funny thing about this whole content creation career that I'm on right now is that my family would just laugh at me. My family would just look at my Instagram, my YouTube content and say, what utter crap. And I know this, I'm well aware of this. In fact, I believe that my family or some members of my family watch the stuff and they're so embarrassed and so shocked that they never bring it up in conversations. Because I am exactly saying those things that I would get criticized for as a young man, that I would get reprimanded for. So this is my little rant here. And I try to not have a agenda and just say whatever came to my mind, and I ended up sharing a lot of stuff that I didn't plan on sharing it, to be honest. But I'm so happy to have the position where I can share whatever's on my mind. I can let it just flow out on the paper here, or on the screen rather. And there's no one except the real God up there who can reprimand me for saying what was on my mind just now. And I want you to realize that you can do that too. You can keep speaking. You can keep speaking into eternity. There's enough material in your brain to talk about. It's just a matter of removing those filters and letting down the curtains, letting down this veil of self-judgment, and just saying it's okay, it's good enough. It's good enough for whoever is watching, and the people for whom it's not good enough, they're not watching anymore. And I don't expect a lot of people to be watching this. It's okay. I don't need a lot of people to be watching it. I'm doing this mostly for myself. The reason I'm doing this video right now is really that I haven't done my weekly YouTube video. And I said, instead of postponing and skipping, I'm just gonna do one where I sit on the grass in this village that I'm visiting right now and speak for 15 minutes into the camera. That's better than nothing. So after posting this video, I get to check off my weekly YouTube habit tracker and feel successful. And yes, this will not be the video with the most watches. This will not be the video with the most likes. But that's not what I'm aiming at. I'm aiming at putting one YouTube video out per week. I have not included the quality of that video as a criterion for myself. The idea here is that the quality will automatically improve if I keep doing it once a week. You don't have to care about the quality if you keep doing the thing consistently. And it's the same with going out, okay? A lot of people go out and they're disheartened by the lackluster results in the beginning and say it didn't work, was not good, no good interactions. The interactions get good automatically, and you cannot depend on seeing that progress because you're not going to be able to see it ever. It's going to happen too slowly for you to see it. You need to find a way to attach your sense of progress to the action itself. And then over time, you can see that you're just getting better. Over time, I can see that 2 years ago, I was not able to just sit on the grass, speak into the camera, and make a YouTube video. And right now, when I stop recording, I will say this was crap. I will say I shouldn't really be posting this. But then, when I look at it with a little bit of distance, 1 or 2 months, I'll be so proud that I did it anyways. I'll be so proud that I knew that the criticism and the self-loathing was just temporary, and I actually found it good enough to post. Maybe I should cut this part out because I'm getting lost in my thoughts right now. Too many tenses. And I can tell you the pressure is real. I do feel the pressure from you guys standing there or sitting saying, what the hell is he actually gonna tell us? What is this video all about? And that is making me tense. But every time I do this, I practice relaxing a little bit more and saying, I'm gonna tell you what this video is about. The ones who want to understand will understand. And instead of trying to be someone I'm not, making this video super good, I'm just gonna make a lot of videos. As good as I can in the moment without pushing myself too hard. And the cool thing is that in 1 year from now, I expect myself to be able to do this and have hundreds of thousands of views. A video where I just sit on the grass and speak into the camera will get hundreds of thousands of views because I'm practicing that. I'm not practicing making a video that takes 20 days to edit. I'm not practicing making a video with a team and with, light and a microphone held from someone else. I'm practicing making videos like this. I practice making videos on the fly. I just pull out my camera and start speaking and organizing my thoughts in the moment. Because that's what I ultimately want to be able to do. Maybe I'm not able to do that very well yet. Maybe I lost you at some point in this speech. Maybe you're going to unfollow me because you think this guy wasted 20 minutes of my life. I don't care, because I know as long as I keep doing this, I will get it. And sometimes I will not feel it. Like right now, I really don't feel like posting this video because I feel like I've stumbled a bit too much over the place. I've lost train of thoughts a few too many times. But I'm still gonna post it, believe me. I'm still going to post this. Because that's what I have attached my sense of satisfaction to. My sense of satisfaction doesn't come from your view. It comes from posting the weekly video. Next week I'll think a little bit more again about what I actually want to say. Thanks a lot for bearing with me, and I hope you can actually see the point of this exercise and apply it to your own life. If you want more of this kind of unconventional social skills advice, join my free community, Shiva Confidence, which is containing a lot of courses and a bit more structured information on how to improve your speaking skills and get better at attracting the right people into your life. Samgachadvam, Namaskar.